What is good, everyone? This is your host, Deanna Kemple of Label Free Podcast. To live your best life, you must live label free. I love my coaches. We've got a very special guest joining us from Mexico. Yes, she's on vacation 24/7 hours a day. Just kidding. She's a wellness, abundant, and mindset plus energy expert. Please welcome Megan Swan. Megan, thank you for joining us. Can you please introduce yourself and tell the audience a little bit about your background?
Sure. Thank you so much, Deanna, for having me. I really appreciate the invitation. I am, 12 years now in Mexico. I'm originally from Calgary, Alberta. I have been a wellness and mindset coach for the past 4 going on 5 years. And the last year in particular, I've really been drilling down on helping powerhouse women not hit burnout through all sorts of mindful practices, tweaks to their diet, really prioritizing sleep cycles, that sort of thing. So I include the mindset because really when we want to have sustainable integrated change in our lives, there needs to be a shift in identity for us to make it sustainable.
Yeah, for sure. So like I said before we started recording, you're the second person I've talked to that offers like coaching and help around women that burn out. And from what I understand from my last conversation, it's been a while, it's been a long time, but women are more susceptible to burnout than men.
Definitely.
And why do you think that is?
Well, there's a couple of reasons, but one is just the perpetual double load that women tend to carry, being in charge of the household, whatever that means. And as much as in modern times, if you will, in certain countries, that's less and less the case. At the end of the day, usually the women are kind of carrying maybe not a complete double load, but more of the responsibility of just taking care of other things besides themselves.
Yeah, for sure. Especially, I think we saw a lot of that this last year with, the pandemic and, how women had to not only work still throughout if they were furloughed or not furloughed, or if they were working out of from home, but also having to manage their children going through virtual school. And I mean, I know that I talked to a lot of women that were having a really hard time juggling that.
Oh yeah, I'm still in it. I'm actually celebrating like today is not the official school today, but my day on the calendar. Because here in Mexico, we've been homeschooling since March of last year, so over a year. And fortunately, we were able to hire a tutor to help my 2 kids because otherwise I just literally could not have done it with 2 kids under the age of one's 6, one's 8, and
Oh boy.
yeah. But let's not go down that road. The other point with it being a heavier load for women is we are socialized from the get-go to make sure everyone else is okay before we are. And even when we're not okay, smiling and looking pretty. So there's like all of these layers of just not taking care of ourselves first and all the reasons that we don't prioritize that.
Oh yeah, I can speak to that 1,000%. I mean, I don't know if you've listened to any of my episodes, but I was married. My husband passed away about 5 years ago, and towards the end there, he was just so sick, and we had 5 businesses together. One was a very large manufacturing business, and I was running all the day-to-day operations for all of them, and managing his health. So administering dialysis at home every single day, having to take him to the hospital towards the end it was like once a week, and then and then we had a huge mansion on top of that, so I had to take care of the stuff at the house. So it was just and I was last, I became like a robot, just do, and not really taking care of myself, and it was very difficult. It was a very hard time, and I look back and I'm like, how did I get through that? How did I manage?
Yeah, well, I mean, I interviewed actually someone on my podcast, Rachel Engram, I believe her name is, and she's written a book basically on self-care for partners of people that are going through, like the partner has cancer or some sort of terminal illness, because there is this deep social messaging that it's not okay to take a break from taking care of someone like that. Like, God forbid you go on vacation while someone is in the midst of the last year of their life, right? Or I mean, it's something that I think it is changing, but yeah, that kind of, and it's an increasing reality. I mean, the way that our society is structured, more and more people are going to be with, and usually falls on the women, not only the children but the parents
Right.
that are getting older and need different kinds of support. Maybe they're not living with you, but I know I have lots of clients where they're just trying to manage the stress of feeling that they're responsible for their parents, be it financially or that they're the ones that are checking in with them. It's just it's extra stress load.
Oh, for sure. So my mom's dealing with that right now with my grandparents. They're in their 90s. They can't move around very much. And so we've had a hard time. We had a caretaker there full time, but now she's going back to Poland, and it's been very difficult to find a replacement caretaker. And that's like a whole nother issue right there. But I can hear the stress in my mom's voice. And I'm just like, well, let me know how I can help. I don't know what I can do, but let me know how I can help. And it's just like, yeah, I mean, yeah, I've been witnessing it firsthand. So, so talk to me about the wellness part and like the energy part. So I'm very much into wellness, health and fitness. That's been my lifestyle for since I can remember. And I know that it's a very important part of, how we age, how we handle the stress. So how do you help your clients with that piece?
Sure. Well, I think it usually comes down to tweaking first something in their diet, but I always approach it from what can we add in instead of what needs to be restricted or taken away, because I teach intuitive eating. So at the end of the day, I encourage people to trust their intuition as to what they should be eating, because it really is very different for everybody.
Sure.
And we're the only animal on the planet that doesn't seem to know what we need to be eating. Multi-billion-dollar industry taking advantage of the fact that we don't seem to trust our gut instinct on what is best in terms of making us thrive. And of course, there's all sorts of, there's multiple layers of that. But at the end of the day, when you start eating a certain level of, maybe a little bit cleaner than you may have been eating, you can trust your cravings to tell you what it is your body needs. And, you don't need to be eating healthy 100% of the time. I think that's another narrative that needs to be this sort of rinse and repeat diet culture of like restriction and then going all out, and then restriction is really damaging to the body and mentally in the long term. So it's important to get out of that cycle and
Sure.
find, like, even the word balance, I think it's overused, but an ebb and flow that works for you personally based on, your stage of life, how active you are, what sort of career you're in, how much of the day are you seated, your sleep cycle, your gender, your blood type. There's so many things that we can look at to help guide you to eventually get to a point that you can trust. Oh yeah, today I need this. Today I need a little bit more of that. And yeah, so other than that, I don't teach many rules per se. It's more inspiring people to try new things and bring more plants into your diet, but to what degree it really depends on the person.
So can you give us an example of what that looks like for one of your clients if you're going to really go down that path with them, and like how you guide them or advise them to alter their current diet?
Sure. Well, it always starts with having them do a food diary for a week. So at least a week. If they can do it for a month, it really gives a lot more information. But even in a week, we shift our tendencies quite a bit, and noting not only what they eat and drink in a day, but their energy levels at different points of the day, how they felt physically and emotionally after they ate a certain thing at the 15-minute mark, the hour mark, and even the next day. Because sometimes what we're eating, it doesn't really affect us until how we're waking up lethargic the next day.
Sure.
And so that then when people start to track themselves, they usually behave better just doing that. But also, we have very convenient memories on what we're consuming on a day-to-day basis. So you get an accurate picture, and then even just having that awareness helps people. And really, we're so disconnected to what we're eating and how what we're eating is affecting us. For me, it always boils down to how are you feeling, not,
Yeah.
looks come later, and should be, like not your main priority. if you are eating to feel amazing and energetic, you're going to look great. I mean, it's
Sure.
the secondary. And so then we tend to see like where in their day are these energy lags, and then, reverse engineering, well, what is it in their diet that's probably making their digestion slow? And ultimately, first stage, as I mentioned, is just layering in more vegetables, fresh fruits and vegetables throughout their day. So that improves everyone's digestion and they get in a better flow that way. And then sort of drilling down on specifics of, whatever they come up with. If they're still waking up lethargic, it could be lots of things. It could be the quantity of alcohol or caffeine and when in their day they're drinking that. Can be a lack of something else that has nothing to do with food. So
Yeah.
kind of like
How
a
does
bit of an exploratory process.
Hey guys, Deanna here with Label Free Podcast. Are you a six-pack kind of guy or a dad bod kind of guy? Either way, our friends at Manscaped have the fellas' hairy bodies covered. They just launched their 4th generation performance package, which includes the Lawnmower 4.0. That's right, you heard that right. 4.0. Trim from the leaders in male grooming, so the man in your life can join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped by going to manscaped.com for 20% off plus free shipping with the code LABELFREE20. That's right, 20% off with free shipping with the code LABELFREE20. So head on over to their website, manscaped.com, and pick up something for yourself, the man in your life, whomever that might want to benefit from keeping everything nice and tight for the summer. Sure. And so how does that, like when it comes to wellness and diet and all that, and I know you've talked about the energy part, but explain to me like how that affects and how you work with them to get them to understand how it affects their energy.
Sure. Well, really it's their own experience feeling the difference. And so it's when you hire a coach, it's already another level of accountability. People show up for themselves in a whole other way. They've already decided that they wanted to commit to some sort of shift. And so in that, we go through this process together. And basically it's a 2 week, every 2 weeks we meet and we see how they felt of the changes, the very small changes they integrated. Some work, some didn't, great. And we add and we layer on from there positive changes. And it's just connecting the dots for them. It's like, oh, well, now that you don't do this, let's say put milk or creamer in your coffee, now you put oat milk, you have a whole other level of energy at 4 o'clock in the afternoon than you did previously. So part of it is helping them have more awareness and connection with their own body, and then helping them connect the dots. And then just the momentum of, they switch out one thing one week and something else the next week. And then by the end of 3 or 6 months, which is usually how long I work with clients,
Okay.
although I've had some, like they're years in now, they just keep progressing. I think, because they're such small changes and they're layered in, they can't even believe like where they started from
Sure.
3 months back.
That's got to be so amazing for you and so fulfilling.
Yes, it definitely is.
That's awesome. Yeah, I became a certified life coach, and I'm too much of an empath and I'm also a personal trainer and dietitian, but when I started getting into that whole coaching, I'm so much of an empath that like if my client doesn't do well, I don't do well because I take it so personally. I was like, you know what? It's good just to have this knowledge. If anybody asks me questions, I'll help them, but I cannot, maybe I just don't understand how to put better boundaries around myself. I don't know.
Yeah, you definitely need to be aware of your energy and how to protect it, because right now we're talking about food, but I mean, people ultimately we end up talking about every single thing in their lives, and sometimes it's really heavy, right? So it's partly just holding space for people,
Yeah.
but then also I need to take care of myself. Like I can't take on all that energy. I need to sort of leave it with the moment, the session we had, um, and build from there, and always just offering snippets of insight, and a non-judgmental space for that.
Yeah.
People progress pretty quickly.
So do you, with what we just discussed, do you have a coach yourself that you can go to kind of decompress after working with all your clients?
Well, I take care of myself in a couple of ways in that sense. I have a distance Reiki
Oh,
coach, and
okay,
so
good.
I have those sessions once a month. I'm huge into tarot cards, so I have a sort of an energy exchange with one of my friends who's a tarot card reader. I do get physical massages when I can, and then obviously all of the things that I preach, I walk the walk. So, I exercise, I take care of my own diet, I meditate twice a day, all these things. What else? And then of course I have coaches, but for me it's more of business coaches in the online space.
Sure. Oh, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. And that's something I forget to ask my coaches when I talk to them, because I think it's very important. You have to, because if you're taking all that on, you got to like release it. Like it can just build up. I like one of these questions that you have here. What are our biorhythms?
Sure. Well, it's something that I integrate into the initial shifts that people are making, because most people aren't aware. Most people have heard of intermittent fasting because it's become very trendy.
Yeah,
And essentially, that's just one small aspect of paying more attention to your overall biorhythm. So you have three phases throughout the day. You have the elimination, the assimilation, and the appropriation. Sorry, they're out of order. Elimination, appropriation, assimilation. So it really is bio individual. So it's not like down to the hour, every single person is the same, but there are windows of time in our 24-hour cycle that have to do with, the reality that we're connected to the sun, and our body loves it, that our systems love continuous, timing, and to be a consistent time every day. So once you start honoring your biorhythm and understanding when it is at the certain times of day you are best able to receive food and digest it properly and maximize the nutrition that you're getting out of what you're eating, versus optimal rest and restore sleep, because you're not doing a bunch of other things that your body doesn't want to be doing at that time. And then really in the mornings, honoring the elimination phase, which is, like not having a huge heavy breakfast before you've eliminated everything from the day before. So it's to give you an idea of like the windows of time on average. It really depends on where you are in the world too, of course. But for most people, the elimination phase is between, let's say, 4 to 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. to noon. And then the assimilation phase is when the sun is at the hottest point of the day. So between 10 a.m. and 6 p.m., or maybe noon and 8 p.m., depending on where you are in the season. And that is the time, like if you think of in Ayurvedic medicine, they always talk about your digestion as a fire. And so think of your digestive fire being as productive and efficient as possible at the point of the day that the sun is the hottest.
okay.
And at the same time, in order to be efficient, think of it as a fire. You don't want to be dousing it with liquids when you're
Right.
trying to digest optimally.
Interesting.
So it's a little bit about like when they're spacing their meals, and getting them to drink water 20 minutes on either side of meals, and not so much with meals. And for a lot of people, that like gets rid of a lot of problems around bloating and improved digestion and better energy, just with shifting the timing of things, not at all shifting what they're consuming.
Interesting. I love that. That was really great. Where can people find you, reach out to you? I know that you have a podcast. Can you tell us about that a little bit too before we start wrapping things up?
Sure. My podcast is called Energetically You. You can find it in iTunes. I interview all sorts of interesting people, but we always sort of drill it back down to something about energy, abundant mindset, or healthy habits. Mostly, well, not mostly, a lot of coaches, a lot of healers and leaders in the business industry. And yeah, lately I've been talking a lot about sleep, because I feel like that is something that it ties so closely with burnout, and arguably it's sort of like an easy way for people to take better care of themselves, and that they don't have to, they don't have to think about eliminating anything from their diet. Even just getting a better night's sleep, you can honestly potentially lose weight. Not that I think that should be a goal per se, but it certainly helps you maintain a healthier weight and a consistent energy level. And there are so many things in our pandemic, pre and post pandemic culture that are interfering with our ability to get a really good night's sleep and optimal REM. So I'm offering a little mini course. I can share the link with your audience. It's a
Please.
free.
What is that link?
It's I'll send it to you. It's
So
or
is
I'll
your website Megan Swan
.com.
.com? Okay, perfect. Yeah, I will put the links in the show notes. Do you have any last words of wisdom or advice that you'd like to share with the audience before we say goodbye?
Sure. Well, I think it all goes back to trying to connect on a deeper level with yourself and trusting your intuition more than you trust any external messaging. And in order to do that, you do need to spend some time sort of getting quiet. Doesn't need to be meditation per se, but doing a little bit more reflection on a daily basis, connecting with nature, and really just taking that layer of self-judgment off the top of all of the other stressors that you have going on in your life so that you can feel better and more energetic.
I love it. Well, thank you, Megan, for being a guest today. You were very informative. I loved everything that we talked about. Well, maybe we'll have to do a follow-up because I feel like there's more layers to what you do that we can discuss that will help, the audience. The more people we reach together collectively, the better off we are. And if we can help one person reach that ultimate goal, then we've done our job. So thank you very much. And well, have fun on your vacation.
Thank you so much, Deanna. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. You guys, this is your host, Deanna Kumpel of Label Free Podcast. Live your best life. You must live label free. Please don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share, follow, all that good stuff. And I'll be back soon with more dynamic guests.